Welcome everyone, I'm Bad Karma Drone, aka Dronus. Join me as we have a little chat side about the gaming community as a whole and what's going on after BlizzCon 2019. Let's get into it. Well, everybody, it's BlizzCon's over with, thank God. Sure, they're very happy about that fact. Didn't go as well as they hoped, I take it. Just wanted to touch base on a few things. At the beginning of the BlizzCon, J. Allen Brack, the president of Blizzard, came out and before anybody else had a chance to do anything, and he gave kind of a half-hearted something of an apology. I guess we could try to call it an apology, but it wasn't. Concerning the events of Blitzchung and the Hong Kong protesting and stuff of that nature, and their handling of the Blitzchung and everything that was all that nightmare. And one of the things that I found very upsetting or disappointing about this was that when Allen professed that they would do better in the future, that they said they would do better next time. They didn't think about this time. They have within their power, even at the time that the BlitzCon was going on, to amend or drop the punishments for the people involved with the Hearthstone. If any of the audience doesn't understand what happened, Google Hearthstone tournament in Hong Kong. You'll read about it. It won't take you too long to figure out what's going on. But Blizzard could simply just say, okay, look, we felt they've been punished enough, and simply just drop the remaining whatever time is left on their 6 months suspensions for Blitzchung, for the 2 sportscasters, and for the American collegiate team. They could go ahead and suspend the balance of that and just return them to active status with immediate effect, but they won't. Which tells us that, simply put, that they didn't learn, that they're not apologizing, that they're, their promises will do better next time. Well, you still have the ability to affect this time. Let's fix this time before we start thinking about what happens the next time. But they won't do it. And it's so sad, because they have within their grasp the power to turn all this around, to turn all the negative energy that's coming their way right now from the community, from their sponsors that have pulled out, from the people that have dropped out of the game, from the people that have canceled their Blizzard accounts, the Battle.net accounts, have closed all that stuff down. They've got a chance to reverse all this. They've got a chance to change this and make it right, and they won't. They won't. And it's really sad. It's really, really bad. And to be honest, I don't know what to do. One of the things that J. Allen Brack said while he was on stage in his fake apology was that they wanted to develop an atmosphere. They wanted to have a conducive atmosphere to where people could say what they want, anywhere they want. And if you've seen that video of him, you'll notice that on his right collar, he's wearing a gay pride button, a very large gay pride button, supporting the rights of gay people. I don't have a problem with that, not in the least. If that's his cup of tea, that's fine. I'm happy for him. But he's wearing that as a badge of honor, but yet he won't support a nation that's suffering in tyranny from oppression, who are literally fighting for their own survival and for their freedom to become a democratic society, from a dictatorial regime. And it means nothing. It means nothing to him. Well, the dollars that come from China mean everything to him, but the struggle from those people mean nothing to him at all. Nothing. And that's so sad. So my boycott of all things Blizzard / Activision will continue, and as long as these protests, as long as the participants, Blitzchung and the sportscasters and the American collegiate team, as long as their suspensions are in effect, then my wallet is closed. And that's going to be the way it is. I'll spend my money somewhere else other than Activision Blizzard. So that's how that's going to roll. Another thing, I changed gears here. Another thing I want to talk about was Diablo 4 was announced during the opening ceremonies, and it's amazing that how you can go from last year, where do you not have phones, and we have no intentions of making anything from for computers for Diablo 4. Diablo 4 is off the table, and anything other than mobile's off the table, to here's a working demo 12 months later of Diablo 4 for computers. But one of the things that I wanted to touch base with is that the game preview footage, what we did see of it, because we didn't see much. They didn't allow cameras in there, but that's not going to stop everybody. But the coverage that we did see looked very interesting. Very interesting. It was kind of like Diablo 4 should have been like Diablo 2.5, maybe, because it had a lot of elements from Diablo 2 in there. They brought with it the return of the skill trees from like Diablo 2 skill tree sets pages, that's now in there, which looks awesome. I hope they keep it, because it's very, very good. The theme is darker, and I don't mean contextually in color that it's darker, but it's more gore and blood. It's less kid friendly for Diablo 4. This is something that I don't think a child under 13 should be seeing or experiencing, because I think it'd probably give them nightmares. But it's really gory and bloody, and I kind of like that in that regard. So this is definitely going to be a game I look forward to playing in the future, if Diablo can ever, if not Diablo, if Blizzard could ever get their head out of their own asses. That would be nice, because I would enjoy to try to play this. I started getting a little excited about the game when I seen it, because the footage, the game is in a lot bigger map. It's not an open world, but it's not the same size as Diablo 3. It's much, much, much bigger. Much bigger. So big, in fact, that they give the characters horses to ride around on to get from area to area. The ability to teleport is not so obvious as it is in D3, which means that you've got to work harder and play the game more, and that's kind of the grind that I think most of us enjoy with the game. One of the other things that I noticed with it, that I think it's going to be really good with the crowd, is that the multiplayer aspect of it has changed and how they're playing it out. Now, granted, they got a long way to go. I think they're not giving out an official release date yet, but I think that it's going to be holiday season 2021 or spring 2022 before the game is ready to go. Absolutely beautiful game, I think. Something that another YouTuber, but it goes by the name Riker, had mentioned that I didn't even think of at the beginning, that has since kind of I don't want to say put me off of the game, but kind of given me great hesitance and pause, and will definitely prevent me from pre-ordering the game, is that when the original Diablo came out many years ago, like 6-7 years ago, something like that, microtransactions and paywalls in games, specifically games associated with Activision, wasn't really that. It wasn't anything like it is in 2019. Okay, it hasn't gotten to that. It hadn't made it yet to that toxic, that's just that level of toxic that it is right now, that just drives so many people away from games. So you don't see too much in the way of microtransactions and paywalls and pay to win or pay to whatever in Diablo. You don't see that in Diablo 3 because it was kind of before that stuff got to the status that it is. But here we are, 2019. The paywalls in microtransactions and, dare I say it, surprise mechanics in these games have gotten so bad that they're having to be legislated by governments all around the world. Okay, several have already stepped in and outlawed them. Several European countries have already banned them. And more are on the way. More countries are just rolling up their sleeves and just going, oh my God, we're having to deal with this shit. So, is this going to affect Diablo 4? Are we going to see some form of surprise mechanics / paywalls? Are you going to if you're going to need some kind of gems or jewels, or if you're looking for the best of the best armor, is that going to be hidden behind some kind of paywall? Is the mount or the steed that you ride around in, are you going to have to pay real money? You have to whip out your credit card and put an expiration date and a 3-digit code off the back of the card in there in order to get the mount? Yeah. Something to think about. It's something that bothers me. And see, it's so typical. It's so typical in the gaming community now for these game companies to release a game, AAA title game, and at first there won't be anything in it, or there'll be some very mild cosmetic only type of stuff. And then after the reviews are in, once the Metacritic score has been pretty much firmed up solid to where it's not that easy to move that score around, and once the YouTube reviews have been done and the articles have been written by the likes of the gaming journalists, if they can be called journalists anymore. Once those things have all been said and done, and the game settles in about 2 weeks or so after launch date, somewhere between like 2 weeks and 2 months down the road, there's an update. Next thing you know, you're up to your asshole in loot boxes and card pack openings and paywalls. And it's it gets crazy. It really does. And I'm so fearful of that happening to D4. I don't want that to happen to D4. We've gotten lucky in the past that really hasn't been a thing in the Diablo community, that we haven't seen it. I know we're going to see it with the mobile game, with the mobile Diablo, because it's free to play. So the way they make their money back is through microtransactions. And like they said that their primary interests were in China when they designed the software anyway. As of the November the 4th, they still haven't, of 2019, they still haven't released that game yet. It's been completed since April, but they haven't released it yet. And I think that the reason they didn't release it is because it would have set off another round of shitstorm for them. Or maybe they're just waiting for their Chinese overlords to approve the game and turn it loose over there first and let it settle down there before turning it loose in the States and this way, with everybody that's interested in Diablo 4, while they're busy trying to figure out how this is going to play out and everything, they can just let that go over there in China, the mobile game, and nobody will ever see it. Over here, we won't be that fixed on it. Maybe that's what they're hoping. So that's something we're going to have to watch and see. Is pay attention to those microtransactions and paywalls, and pray that Lilith, who is the supreme overlordess of Diablo 4, hopefully she can keep those microtransactions and paywalls at bay, and we won't have those in D4. Let's hope that works. One last thing I wanted to talk about, and then I'll end this video. It's already getting pretty long. One of the things I wanted to talk about was recently, I think it was in France. I'm not sure, so don't hold me to that part of it. But recently there was a court ruling and a decision that favored the gaming community over not the developers, but the platforms, the launch platforms of games. And by launch platforms, I mean things like Steam, Epic, when you have to download these launchers, and then you buy games and you get games digitally. And what the courts has decided is that if you purchase right now, the way things are set up, if you purchase a game through Steam, and we're going to use Steam as an example because they were the ones that were hauled into court, but this ruling applies equally across the entire spectrum. But like I said, that Steam was the one in court, so we're going to talk about Steam. When you buy a game through Steam, or an application, software, whatever, and you're finished using it, like you buy a game and the next generation that game comes out, or you didn't like the game, you have a grace period there. I think it's 2 weeks or 2 hours of gameplay, whichever comes first, to which you could get your money back. Like if you accidentally purchased the wrong game, or you bought it and it won't work on your computer, or you bought the game and it's a piece of shit, It's kind of Fallout 76-ish, or Anthem-ish, from Anthem. something like that. So if it's something like that, you can, if you're within that limited time frame and stuff, you can get your money back. And you don't have to worry about it. If it's like in that 2 weeks or 7 days or 14 days or whatever, and that 2 hour or less than 2 hours of gameplay, you get your money back. But if you want to sell the game months down the road, like a friend or a coworker, whoever, somebody wants to buy the game, you want to sell the game. You're not playing it anymore. You've already beat the game, and you want to move on. And you decide, hey, I'm just going to sell this game, and then that'll be that. I'm going to move on to the new game, and I'm not going to worry about it. So I want to sell it. Well, you can't. You can't sell the game because there is no physical disc. Okay, you bought a digital copy, and when you played it long enough that you were out of that 2 hour block or out of that 14-day window, whatever that is, then there's no going back. You own the game and you can't sell it. Well, over in Europe, I believe it was France, like I say, don't hold me to that, dragged Steam into court and sued them, and the outcome of that, the filings from the court, was that a game is an intellectual property. It can be sold, and they found Steam liable and fined them. So now Steam has to figure out a way, at least over there in that country, to make it to where you can resell games that you don't want. So if I got a copy of a game and I don't play it anymore, and I want to sell it to get up maybe enough credits or whatever to go buy a new game that I'm interested in, over there you're going to be able to do it at some point in the very near future. It's kind of like the secondhand gaming market that GameStop used to be involved with. Where you'd bring your disc in and whatever for whatever games, and they give you in-store credit to buy something else. And they give you $5-10 for something they turn around and sell for $55 or $45-55 to the next guy. And that's how GameStop made a lot of its money over the years. And as people have moved from physical copies of buying games, because like nowadays, for the most part, if you go buy a AAA title game, you go into your favorite store, GameStop, Target, Walmart, wherever, and Amazon, whatever, and you buy the game, you get a cardboard paper inside of the disc case that gives you a serial number key and a website to log into, or a QR code to scan to take you to where you can unlock the game and start playing it. And you have to digitally download the game itself. It's not there anymore. Well, that really tore up GameStop's market shares. I mean, that's what paid the bills at GameStop, was the used game market, the physical used game market, the CDs, the cartridges, the things like that from the different DS cartridges and Xbox games and PlayStation games and stuff like that. That's what fed the market for them. And when digital sales started becoming the thing, the way that people deal with games now, where you don't have to wait on launch day when a game launches, you don't have to wait till your local store opens up and then drive down there and get the game, then take it back home and load it up and start playing it. You don't have to do that anymore. You can download the game. And like with the case of, give you an example, I just purchased Pokemon Shield and Pokemon Sword for my Nintendo Switch. And in a pre-purchase, you get to download the game now. I've got both games already installed on the Switch. Now, they won't play yet because they won't go active until November 15th, but they're there. If you click on it, it scans and looks for a file on the Nintendo website, and says that the game isn't playable at this time, to check back later. And on November 15th, the morning, assuming that they've done it the same way they've done other Nintendo games, about 5 or 10 minutes after midnight, you just, try to access the game, and it downloads that small little tiny little file that unlocks everything, and you're off to the races. So, that's how Nintendo's made their business, and that's what Steam and Epic Games launchers and all these other launchers are doing. That they're making it convenient. You don't have to leave home. You don't have to go anywhere. But you don't have the ability to resell these games. Once you've bought the game and you've passed any kind of refund policy that the launchers provide you, once you're out of that part of it, you're done. You own it. So now it looks like we're going to see a slow shift in the gaming industry to where there's going to be an aftermarket for this, to where you're going to be able to resell digitally purchased games. Will that be enough to save GameStop? Will GameStop be able to have some kind of online thing to where you could go on and do it through GameStop? I don't think so. I don't think that GameStop has enough teeth in it left to stick around long enough for this to happen. Because while this did happen over in Europe, this court ruling was in Europe, it doesn't affect the United States of America, which is probably the largest gaming market. Probably, if not, then Asia is, Southeast Asia. So none of that is affected by the court ruling. Only that one country in Europe, I believe it's France, like I say. So, but you're going to see more and more of that. So, if you look at your collection on these launchers, and some people I know have hundreds and hundreds of games that they purchased over the years on Steam, a lot of them old games that they don't play anymore. Imagine being able to get credit to sell them back for some kind of in-store credit, through Steam or whatever launcher that you bought them from originally. Or having some warehouse, digital warehouse, third-party thing where you could go to and sell the games that you've got from multiple platforms, and buy something. Like if you bought something, sold something on Steam, you might want to buy something on Epic or vice versa or something like that. So I think we're going to see that in the future. I think that's probably about 10 years from now. It's probably going to be closer to 2030 before something like that really, really shows itself here. But you never really know. You just some days you just don't know. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll watch that and see what happens. And I think that's pretty much all I've got for today. I think this video's gone on long enough. And I want to thank everybody for watching. If you have an opinion about anything or thoughts or some idea maybe I haven't thought of, or some consequences for some of the things that are happening in the community today that you'd like to express your opinion, please type it in the comments below. And if you can, smash that like button, subscribe, and follow. It really helps the channel grow. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. You guys have a wonderful day.